It's one of the highlights of my life, personally. From a sports standpoint, this stadium has holded a million great events, Super Bowls, national this, national that, all kinds of championships. Certainly being part of World Cup and these 8 matches has been, one of the major milestones in my life.
Well, I think we all can agree that it was a major milestone in all of our lives. What a summer we've had in Atlanta. I don't even know how to move forward from the World Cup because I'm going to be reliving this for the rest of my life. It was an opportunity of a lifetime to be a part of this, to be a part of a World Cup city. Two of my good friends are here who have been in Atlanta all around the festivities with the World Cup. Felipe Cardenas from The Athletic, who's been covering the World Cup. You did it last time too. This one a little bit different. We'll get into that. And Gabe Burns from the AJC down there. You're all over the place these days. First of all, first impressions of just how the World Cup went in our city.
Oh, Atlanta. I mean, I think if we rank the cities, Atlanta is like at the bare minimum a top 5 city.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to a stadium official after the semifinal between Argentina and England, and he was like, "If you ranked us, where would you put us?" He was trying to like nudge me to number 1. And honestly, they have a chance here. They have a fight for number 1. When I speak to the international journalists that were here,
yeah,
they loved Atlanta. They loved it for the access to the stadium. They could walk to the stadium.
They loved the ice cream machine in the press box. They were getting multiple rounds of ice cream.
Yeah, they couldn't believe how well they were treated in terms of just like the food, the ice cream, as you mentioned. So Atlanta really showed out. They were a great host city.
Gabe, you've seen bars and watch parties and everything around the city. What did you think?
This was so cool. Like, I mean, this was just unbelievable. The environment, the passion, the atmosphere. Obviously, as we just laid out, it was very convenient for people. Everything. I would have loved to see the final here. It would have been awesome, man. Atlanta is it's a big event town. Like
sure.
We are just set up to do events. There's a few cities, and look, obviously New York and LA are always going to get the best stuff.
For sure.
But there are a few cities who are just basically made for this, and I feel like we've definitely gotten to that point.
I don't disagree with that, and hopefully FIFA doesn't disagree with that in the future, if it can come back to the United States. We'll talk about that a little bit too. But Spain winning the World Cup, beating Argentina 1-0. It was tied 0-0 at halftime. They had to do it in extra time to get it done. A lot of people, Felipe, thought that Spain was really the better team all tournament. I went into this thinking Spain was going to win, but Argentina definitely had a chance because of what we've seen from them all tournament. Lamine Yamal, the greatest teenager in the world. He's a World Cup champion. What do you think about Spain winning?
It is crazy that at 19 he's lifted a World Cup. It reminds me of Kylian Mbappe, who did it at 18 in 2018, won his first World Cup with France. So that tells you the pathway that Yamal has now. I was not surprised, honestly, by the way the game played out because we've seen what Argentina can do. They can frustrate teams. They will hang in. They will hang, and then they have a game winner in Lionel Messi that can finish games for you. But Spain, they came in with one of the best defensive sides, and they defend with the ball. They keep the ball, and they keep it from you. And in the end, it did become a game where Argentina was trying to frustrate, get into their heads, get a little, well, you can call it the dark arts of football, right? And I thought Spain really handled it well. And the goal, though, it felt like if they don't score that goal, they are going to keep this Argentina team alive until the very end, and that's the danger.
Argentina got so close on so many chances towards the end. You thought if it was in Messi's possession, he was going to make something happen. We saw it happen here in Atlanta Stadium, but ultimately it was Spain's day. It's really been Spain's tournament for sure. And speaking of Spain, Felipe mentioned it, Gabe, they are a defensive-minded team. They have an all-worldly defense. It's one that I think we'll talk about for years and years to come, but it was their offense today that was more of the story. The attack put on by their offensive side. How astonishing was that? Yeah,
it was something. And you know what? Like, it felt like you just kept waiting for that breakthrough, right?
Yeah.
You just kept waiting and waiting for it. And it felt like, again, you're just watching. I think most of us thought that Spain was going to wind up winning just off the way it was. So it was fascinating to watch. I have to be honest though, like Argentina was probably my favorite to watch throughout this, just because
Don't tell Felipe that.
The dark arts.
You like it.
Well, as a neutral observer, it was entertaining. You just never knew, right? And it did. However, that being said, I don't think it would have felt right if they had won it. It just didn't feel like it was supposed to be theirs for all that they achieved.
How about a stat? The stat of the day, speaking to what Gabe said. I think Spain had 20 or more shots on target. Argentina had 0, which
Zero.
has never happened in a World Cup final. And to think of, they were a fun team. They have Messi, they were scoring goals, they were putting on a show throughout the World Cup. Not even a shot on goal. That tells you everything about the way that game went.
Kind of feels like a little bit of a letdown from the third place match that we saw, which Felipe will talk about later because there were a million goals in that. There were 10 in that. But on the other side of the net, Emiliano Martinez, he broke a record in saves for a World Cup final. He was a brick wall out there. It was astonishing what he was able to do. Unfortunately, obviously, his team not winning the World Cup, but you got to give him some credit because he was fantastic in net.
And he came in with a broken finger that he could have, he decided not to have surgery on it. He gets injured with his club team right before the World Cup, and he says, I'm not going to have surgery, I'm going to play. And listen, this is one of the top goalkeepers in the world. Emiliano Martinez won the goalkeeper of the tournament award in 2022. I thought he was going to get it today, just based off his performance today. And he kept him in the match. Like, they weren't these spectacular acrobatic saves, but it just shows his experience. He was always in the right place. He was always well positioned. And he kept this team alive. That was sort of the heartbeat of the team, the goalkeeper.
There was that one from Lamine Yamal, who I thought was going to sneak past him, but he was phenomenal today.
He was there. Like, breaking a record tells you everything about his performance. And again, it does also paint the picture of the way the game went in favor of Spain.
For sure. And Spain still breaking through. They were obviously going to break through at some point, and they did, to win the World Cup. And we've seen final World Cup performances from Neymar and Ronaldo. Now the attention's going to turn to Lionel Messi, and the conversation around him is perhaps this is his last World Cup. The emotions were pouring out of him on the pitch afterwards. He's hinted at it before, but he hasn't confirmed yet that this would be his last. Gabe, what do you think the future holds for Messi, especially in an Argentine uniform?
Yeah, I mean, this seems like it's it, certainly, just from the outside. What a pleasure. What a pleasure to watch this, career. I mean, it's honestly been remarkable. There's a lot of these guys that we will forever talk about that we got to see play in all sports. And this is somebody that I would just say cherish that we got to watch this. And also to have Atlanta is now part of kind of that story too. 100%. To have Atlanta as a big part of it, and to have that as really a career highlight, that match, that's pretty cool.
Messi Mania is truly something to behold. If you've never been around it, it is astonishing. We were able to be out there.
It's like
with
following
all of
a rock band.
No, I felt like I was in a rock band.
Yeah.
By the way, Felipe and I were underneath the Argentine flag, and we were hanging out with all of them, marching to the stadium. It was astonishing to witness something like that. But what do you think it was like watching Messi in perhaps his final moments here in the stadium?
I agree with Gabe. I think it's looking like, based on his reaction, and he's 39, and we weren't sure if he was even going to play in this World Cup. He waited till the last minute to make a decision, and he played great. I mean, 8 goals, 4 assists, was right at the top of the leaderboard for the Golden Boot until yesterday, when Kylian Mbappe took advantage of the third place match to claim their award. But this is a big moment for Argentina. Now this chapter that they didn't want to see end, it's going to end, and they're going to have to move past an Argentina team that's not captained by Lionel Messi, the greatest player of all time. I don't think they have the answers yet. And they went into this tournament thinking, we'll get to that later. And now they're faced with the big questions like, how do we build? Do we have the depth? They're not as young a team as Spain. Spain is a young team that you think might go on a run here at the international level. To Gabe's point, it's been a pleasure, though, to watch Messi. He's an incredible player. I think Atlanta will be a special city for him based on the wins that they had here. Egypt and then England, they will remember that forever. And he'll be back. He's still in MLS, though. We're probably going to see him playing for Inter Miami here in Atlanta.
Which is very cool. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a jersey out there in the crowds that doesn't say Messi on the back of it when it comes to the Argentine national team. Felipe, you mentioned the semifinal that was here in Atlanta. I don't think I've ever heard decibels that loud in a game in my life, in any sport. It was unbelievable when he scored with that right-footed. He didn't score it, he assisted it. The right-footed assist.
With your viral video, we all saw it.
It's true. It has almost 70 million views now. The whole world is obsessed with that moment. But how did that really show and tell the story of the ebbs and flows of that match?
Well, first of all, we're talking about the World Cup and how it brings people together, and it's just like this kumbaya moment. It's great. That game was hostility at the highest level. It was animosity. These two countries have a political culture that is very conflictive, going back to the 1982 Falklands War. And every time they've played each other in a World Cup, it feels like a final. It feels like do or die. And I thought Argentina embraced that, and they went into that game thinking that. Now, the English were fine in the first 45. I thought they matched that intensity really well, but the one thing that I was talking to my colleagues from the UK is like they don't have none of the English players are familiar with playing against Messi. They don't play against Messi, none of them. And so you started to see him figure out what was happening. They were really clogging the middle, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to go to the right side and find space. And all his teammates start buzzing around him. The English sit back, and he finds that moment. He was painting the picture for himself the entire second half. An assist with his weak foot, his right foot, that was just a beautiful assist to Lautaro Martinez for the winner. And so that really encapsulated Messi, I think, what he means to Argentina and what that semifinal meant in beating England.
Astonishing. You see all of his teammates running to him first and not Martinez. And Martinez kind of had to celebrate with himself and then run over with everyone else. It was incredible. And coming up, we're going to take a look at the future of soccer in our country now that the World Cup is over. What does it look like, and how big will soccer become in America? This truly was a spectacle of an event. I don't think I'll ever be over it in my life. We're going to talk about it for years to come, but we've heard athletes and politicians and celebrities and a whole lot of people say that this World Cup has felt different than all the rest. Gabe, why do you think that is?
Well, we're biased, right? I mean, no, like in the same way that I talked about Atlanta as a tremendous host city, this is a tremendous host country.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can talk about the expanded field, and you can talk about, there's obviously obvious reasons that, it's been a bigger deal, but in America here, the energy, the people, everyone wants to come visit us anyway. I think we did a very nice job as hosts, regardless of what city you're in. Ours was the best, but hey. But no, I mean, it truly, I think it's just a testament to our country, and we were welcoming, and at a time that, a lot of people have a hard time agreeing on stuff that, there's a lot of tough times. I thought it was really cool to see the togetherness of it all and how it really brought just the unity in the whole thing.
Gabe, I think you nailed it. I think that's what it is. I think there's so much strife in our world right now, and a lot of people can't agree, whether it's politics or whatever the case may be. Sports wipes all of that clean, and you get to be together and you get to cheer for something. And I think it was really cool to watch that happen, especially in our city, who we're calling the epicenter of soccer in America, right? I mean, we are. We have to be. And I feel like this is the step in the right direction for soccer in this country. Felipe, you've covered soccer for a long time. This is trending in the right direction. What do you think the future of it is in this country?
We're gonna find out. Like after the 1994 World Cup, obviously the big change and the big moment was the creation of Major League Soccer. There wasn't a professional league at that level, and that's what it became. And the '94 World Cup was just as monumental. It's like people couldn't believe. I remember I couldn't believe that there was a World Cup in the United States. And at that time, we weren't talking about the U.S. as a soccer country the way we do now. We didn't have U.S. soccer facility in Atlanta. We didn't have a bunch of soccer-specific stadiums that we do now. And so what the future will look like after the World Cup is going to depend on what type of investment we see moving forward. Does FIFA look at this market and say, hey, how do we do that again? And I think they will. I think the Copa America in 2 years will be back here. I think the Club World Cup, which was celebrated last year for the very first time in the United States, I think they're going to come back as well. Because this market, to Gabe's point, you saw the diasporas, you saw the fans, like every culture is here. And so like the World Cup was already here, you just have to bring it here, right? So the future is gonna be interesting to see how the men's national team grows from this.
Sure.
We know that youth soccer is always going to be one of the most popular sports, but how does this become an elite sport inside this country is the big question.
We have the Women's World Cup to look forward to as well as the Olympics in 2028, which will be right here on 11 Alive. That is in Los Angeles, so another big event to watch soccer in our country. And you speak of investment, Arthur Blank is the reason why this is the epicenter of soccer in America. He is pouring money into the sport, so we'll see how it grows. But there's a lot of NFL players, including Bears quarterback Caleb Williams, who are now voicing their opinion because guess what they want? They want real grass out there to play on because the guys in the World Cup were able to do that. There's a hashtag circulating right now which says hashtag worth the cost. Gabe, I could go into the economics of this and how it would be honestly totally not realistic at this point in time for all 32 NFL clubs to have real grass, maybe in the future, but what do you think it would actually take for that to happen? Yeah,
it needs to happen. I mean, all these guys, every position, Cam Hayward, Jonathan Taylor, I mean, you go through Patrick Queen, all these guys are chiming in. It's like, and the NFLPA is right. This is an investment in your players.
Yeah.
This is an investment in your product, your employee. Like, these are your guys. And if this is, I think their poll said 92% of players are like, do this. And now you've opened the door here because you've done it. And I understand there's financial ramifications here and everything. I don't think the NFL's hurting for money.
Yeah,
so let's
it.
get this one figured out.
Yeah, and I don't know the timeline. It wouldn't happen this year, clearly. There's so much science that goes into it, Felipe, with injuries, and all of this is being studied. It'll be a big talking point at training camp as we get ready to go towards that in a week and a half. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't want to be the spoiler here, but I'll be devil's advocate.
You can, yeah.
I did a big story on the technology that FIFA used for specifically the grass at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a very specific type of grass.
That's why the roof stayed closed.
That can only live indoors, and the lighting has to be perfect, and the type of grass and the amount of dirt. Like, it was something that has never been done in the States before. Now, that was replicated across different stadiums in Mexico and Canada and the US. It was a huge undertaking for FIFA and for the cities and all these stadiums. Like, is it possible? You know, perhaps. I think you guys are right. Like, it's both a collective bargaining issue and a financial one. And then you have these stadiums that they do more than just host sports. They host concerts, and you have to take care of this grass. And can you play soccer one weekend and football the next day? There's just so much involved. Like, I understand the athletes, though. Every athlete wants to play on grass. Every soccer player wants to do it. It's different. They feel like it's a safer environment for them. And obviously for football, you know, no questions that grass is just a different type of performance for them. So it's just a huge hill to climb to do that, I think.
If you have a yard and you've ever taken care of a yard, it's hard to take care of grass. So imagine that on a pitch level, because it would be insane, especially in an NFL football field as well. We'll be keeping our eyes on that, especially as we head towards Falcons training camp here in the next week and a half. But coming up, we're going to wrap things up about the World Cup. We're going to take a look back at our favorite memories. All right, our favorite World Cup moments. Felipe, what's yours?
I'm going to go back to England, Argentina. I mean, when you have two fans trying to drown out each other's national anthem, you knew it was going to be real. It felt like a UFC event in the first 25 minutes. It was crazy. One of the loudest stadiums again. The moment, the way that Argentina won that game, the fact that we went in with the Argentina fans, and we're walking in with them, I'm like, how are they possibly going to lose this game with this type of support? So I will never forget that semifinal. I think it's an iconic all-time classic.
I agree with you. That's definitely like a bucket list item in my mind. Probably my best sports moment ever, and I've covered a lot of cool ones. Gabe, what about you?
I wasn't able to be there for that, not that I'm bitter or anything, but I was there to see Yamal's first goal, and I mean, that is so cool. It's on. If he winds up being what I think we all think he's going to be in this storied career, for it to have really begun in Atlanta, for him to have such an early signature moment in Atlanta, and to be there and see that, it's like seeing Tom Brady's first touchdown or Michael Jordan's first three, or whatever comp you want to make, man. But it was really cool to be there, and it's really exciting to know that, you know, Atlanta's a big part of that story now too, in the same way that we kind of said it about Messi.
It was a big moment for Spain for sure, and you mentioned Tom Brady. I'll tell you a player that now has more followers on social media than Tom Brady. That's Vizinha, the goalkeeper for Cabo Verde. He's just my favorite moment. Let's give him one moment for everything, because what he did, it started with that 0-0 draw with Spain, just catapulted him into icon, global superstar. He is now in all-star games, and the World Cup wasn't even over. He's been on Good Morning America. He's done all these things, and I think that the future is so bright, and it's such a valuable lesson. He almost quit soccer. He literally almost quit playing right before he went into the World Cup. And now, at 40 years old, he is an icon and he is a legend, and I'm so happy that he was here. It created so many Cabo Verde fans here in our city, which I thought was really cool, but I just will remember the World Cup forever. Final 40 seconds, last thought.
First of all, everyone loves Vizinha. And it was a wonderful World Cup. I think the product, we can poke holes in other things, but as a product, a wonderful World Cup, unforgettable.
Well done.
Yeah, it's unforgettable, and it was awesome for our country. It showcased our country, it showcased our city, a lot of memorable matches, memorable moments, and it's really cool, you know, for us in the media to have, you know, been able to be there and be part of it.
I had beer rolling down my legs at 10 a.m. thanks to the English fans. It was not mine, it was them when we were out there celebrating, having a good time. What a moment for our city and what a moment for the world. We'll be right back. As we say goodbye to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, I'd like to reflect on what this summer really meant to our city and to the world. But first, felicidades, La Roja. Congratulations to Spain, who beat Argentina for the World Cup crown. And it's only the second championship in the country's history, by the way. On June 16, 2022, Atlanta was announced as a host city. And I remember thinking on that day, That is so far from now. 8 matches and over 500,000 fans across all matches later, it genuinely was the summer of a lifetime. It was a poignant reminder that all of us as humans, no matter your country, your culture, your nationality, we can all be brought together by the beauty of sports. What I've always loved about team sports is they're typically made up of people from all different walks of life, yet they're all pulling the same side of the rope for a common goal. It is powerful, and what a lesson that can be applied to so much in our lives. For 39 days, over the largest format the World Cup has ever seen, we saw players of tiny nations become global icons overnight. We saw fans from all over the globe sharing their anthems, their traditions, and maybe even adopting a few new ones. We also got to see our country through the eyes of so many that had never experienced it before. It reminded us all that there is beauty in the smallest of things, like ranch and a trip to Waffle House, to sharing what we all know and love about our city, which includes our unforgettable hospitality. We saw some of the best matches and moments of the entire tournament at Atlanta Stadium. Haiti's first goal in a World Cup match in over half a century, to Lionel Messi's right-footed assist that saved Argentina. And who could forget Fan Festival, a free event that was packed to the brim, over 19 days worth of dancing, cheering, live musicians, and unforgettable memories. Our city was ready, our hearts are full, and it was the honor of a lifetime sharing this summer of memories with all of you. I don't know how we're going to recover from this summer. How do we look forward to anything else? Well, I'll tell you how you can look forward to it. You can join me each and every Sunday right here on Sports Extra. Have a great week, everybody.